If you believe that your significant other will never cheat on you, then I have some bad news for you. You are either a saint or you simply slept through every biology class in high school. Welcome, my little fan of rose-tinted glasses and eternal loyalty. Today we are going to take those glasses off and smash them with the hammer of cold, hard reality. My goal today is simple: to destroy your faith in monogamy and prove that cheating is not just a mistake made at a bar after 3 cocktails, but a perfect survival plan that your brain has been perfecting for millions of years. And just so you do not accuse me of being biased, we are going to travel to the most sinful place in human history, ancient Rome. Welcome to a city where wine flowed like water and morality was something like a recommendation that everyone successfully ignored. Romans were experts in 2 things: conquering the world and figuring out how to jump into someone else's bed. If you think modern dating apps are the peak of depravity, you clearly have not seen the Roman lupanaria. These establishments were everywhere, from dirty back alleys to elite neighborhoods. But the most interesting part started when a very serious guy named Augustus Caesar decided he had seen enough. He became the first emperor and decided to turn Rome into a bastion of family values. Sounds familiar, does it not? Augustus passed the laws on adultery, which made cheating a state crime. If you were caught, you lost half your property and were exiled to a deserted island. He thought fear of the law was stronger than the call of nature. Oh, how wrong he was. And here we get to the juiciest part. Augustus had a daughter named Julia. She was smart, beautiful, and she was the living embodiment of everything her father was fighting against. While Augustus was giving lectures on morality in the Senate, Julia was turning the center of Rome into her own personal playground. She changed lovers more often than the emperor changed decrees. They say she even held orgies on the very podium from which her father proclaimed his harsh laws. It was the perfect middle finger to the entire system. Why? Why did the daughter of the most powerful man in the world risk her head for fleeting pleasures? Historians will say she was depraved. Psychologists will say she had a conflict with her father. But evolutionary psychology will tell you that Julia was simply being human. Let us take a pause and call science for help. There is a guy named David Buss. He studies the evolution of desire. His research proves that cheating is a part of our biological hardware. In women, this is called the dual mating strategy. What is the essence of it? It is simple and cynical. A woman subconsciously looks for 2 types of men. The first is a reliable provider who will bring home the mammoth and protect the cave. Let us call him the provider, or the good guy. The second is the owner of ideal genes, a strong, aggressive, confident male. In an ideal world, this is the same person, but nature rarely gives all the bonuses to one player. Therefore, evolution came up with a loophole. Live with the reliable guy, but have children with the genetic champion. This sounds cruel, but look at it through the eyes of DNA. Your genes do not care about your mortgage or your shared photos on Instagram. They need to survive and dominate. In ancient Rome, this was manifested in all its glory. Julia was married to Tiberius, a guy who was boring, cold, and eternally busy with state affairs. He was the perfect guarantor of stability. But he did not light a fire in her blood. And then other guys came onto the scene. Young aristocrats, poets, warriors. She chose them not because she was evil, but because her limbic system was screaming, "This guy is stronger. This guy is brighter. His genes will make your children leaders." You may ask, what about men? Well, with us, everything is even simpler and more primitive. We are like printers. Our task is to print as many copies of our documents on as many sheets of paper as possible. But let us go back to women, because their cheating is much more complex and interesting from a psychological point of view. It is not just about sex, it is about searching for an upgrade. Scientists conducted an experiment. They gave women the opportunity to smell the t-shirts of different men. And guess what? Those women who were at the peak of their ovulation chose the scent of men with the highest levels of testosterone. At the same time, on ordinary days, they might like more calm and family types. Your body literally hacks your brain and changes your preferences so that you commit adultery at the most suitable moment for conception. Now imagine this in the setting of Rome. Baths where everyone walks around half naked. Endless feasts where wine washes away the last drops of self-control. This was the perfect laboratory to test David Buss's theory. Augustus eventually found out about his daughter's adventures. Imagine his face. He had just kicked hundreds of people out of Rome for cheating, and then his own daughter does this. He was furious. He exiled her to the tiny island of Pandateria, where she was forbidden even to drink wine or see men. He destroyed her life trying to save his reputation. But even this did not stop others. Rome continued to cheat. Because you cannot defeat instinct with a piece of paper from the Senate. Let us dig even deeper into the psychology of the past. There is a term, sperm competition. It sounds like the name for a very strange sport, but it is reality. If a woman sleeps with several men in a short period, their cells start a real war inside her body. The fastest, the strongest, the most adaptable will win. Cheating is a way to force nature to conduct natural selection at the most basic level. Ancient Roman women did not know about this, but they felt it. Do you think we have become different? That modern psychology and religion have fixed us? Look at the statistics. Research shows that about 50% of women and 70% of men have cheated at least once in their marriage. And these are only those who admitted it. We just changed togas for jeans and Roman baths for an app called Tinder. The mechanism remains the same. We are still the same primates trying to sit on two chairs. We want security at home and fire on the side. It is interesting that in Rome, prostitution and cheating went hand in hand. Lupanaria were places where social masks were torn off. It did not matter who you were, the wife of a senator or an ordinary merchant. The psychology of prostitution is that it gives an outlet to those impulses that society tries to suppress. Prostitution is a safety valve that prevents the pressure cooker called monogamy from exploding. Romans understood this better than we do. They did not try to make everyone saints. They simply created places where you could be sinners for a few coins. But Augustus wanted to be above nature. He wanted to create an ideal society. His tragedy was that he was fighting a mirror. All those infidelities he saw around him were a reflection of his own nature. After all, he himself came to power through blood and betrayal. The psychology of power is such that you want to control everything, even what happens in other people's bedrooms. But as soon as you start trying to control biology, you lose. As the centuries rolled on, the Roman Empire fell, but the human brain did not change one bit. We moved into the Middle Ages, a time when the church tried to put a leash on human desire. They called it a sin. They threatened us with eternal fire, and they told us that the body was just a prison for the soul. But you know what happened? Cheating just became more sophisticated. It turned into courtly love. Knights were writing poems to married noblewomen, and everyone was pretending it was just spiritual. Ha, give me a break. It was the same Roman game, just with more clothes and better poetry. The psychological tension of the Middle Ages created a world where the forbidden fruit was the only thing anyone actually wanted to eat. Psychologically, repression never works. It only creates fetishes and obsessions. When you tell a human being that they cannot have something, their brain marks that thing as a high-value target. In the medieval courts, the risk of cheating was part of the thrill. It was a dopamine rush that made the gray, cold reality of life worth living. We see this today in societies with very strict moral codes. The stricter the rules, the more creative the cheating becomes. It is a universal law of human behavior. Let us talk about the chemistry of your betrayal. When you first meet someone new, your brain is a cocktail shaker of dopamine and norepinephrine. It feels like a drug because it is a drug. It is the honeymoon phase. But nature is not stupid. It cannot keep you in that state forever, or you would literally die of exhaustion and forget to eat. So, after a year or two, the dopamine drops and oxytocin takes over. Oxytocin is the cuddle hormone. It is great for building a house and raising kids, but it is terrible for excitement. This is what we call the 7-year itch, although nowadays it is more like the 2-year itch. The brain starts to crave that old dopamine hit. It looks at the partner who is snoring next to you, and then it looks at the new person at the gym or the office. The limbic system says, "Hey, remember that feeling? We can have it again. All we have to do is lie a little bit." This is where the struggle between the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that cares about your reputation and your kids, and the ancient lizard brain begins. Most people think they are in control, but in a high-stress or high-novelty situation, the lizard brain usually wins the election. Consider the Coolidge effect. It is a biological phenomenon where males, and to a lesser extent females, show renewed sexual interest whenever a new female or male is introduced. It has been observed in almost every mammal species. Evolution wants variety because variety means a more diverse gene pool. A diverse gene pool means a better chance of survival for the species. So when you feel that spark for someone else, it is not your soulmate calling you. It is just your DNA trying to diversify its portfolio. It is as simple and as cold as that. In the Victorian era, they tried to hide everything behind heavy curtains and tight corsets. They thought they had solved the problem of desire by pretending it did not exist. But the history of Victorian London is a history of massive underground brothels and secret lives. The psychology of the Victorian era is a masterclass in cognitive dissonance. On the surface, everyone was a model of virtue, but underneath, it was a circus of deviancy. Why? Because the gap between what society demands and what biology requires will always be filled with lies and hidden rooms. Modern technology has just made the gap easier to hide. We have created a world where you can have a full-blown affair without ever leaving your couch. Micro-cheating, emotional affairs, sliding into direct messages. It is all just a digital version of the Roman baths. The psychological impact is the same. It is the search for that extra bit of validation, that extra bit of genetic or emotional variety. We have not evolved, we have just upgraded our tools. Look at the statistics of the modern world. In many Western countries, the divorce rate is around 50%. And do you know what the #1 reason cited is? Infidelity. We are trying to force an ancient, nomadic, variety-seeking brain into a static, lifelong monogamous box. For some people, the box fits. For most, it feels like a cage. And the thing about cages is that the inhabitants are always looking for the key. Psychologists have found that the pain of being cheated on is one of the most intense emotional experiences a human can have. It is not just about the sex, it is about the destruction of your reality. It is a betrayal of the social contract that we use to feel safe in a chaotic world. When your partner cheats, they are not just choosing someone else. They are telling you that your investment of time and emotion was not enough to override their primal instincts. It is a brutal ego blow that taps into our deepest fears of being abandoned and left to die in the wilderness. So, is there a way to win the game? Some people turn to open relationships or polyamory. They think that by removing the rules, they can remove the cheating. But the psychology of jealousy is just as old as the psychology of desire. Even without the rules, we still want to be the most important person in our partner's life. We are possessive creatures. We want to have our cake and eat it too, but we do not want anyone else to have a bite of our cake. It is a classic human paradox. Julia ended her life in a prison of her father's making. But in a way, Augustus was in a prison too. He was a prisoner of his own impossible ideals. He wanted to be the man who fixed Rome, but you cannot fix what is not broken. Human nature is not a mistake to be corrected. It is a reality to be managed. The more we deny the dark parts of our psyche, the more power they have over us. When you look at the history of prostitution, you see a mirror of our own dissatisfaction. It has existed in every culture, in every time period, under every political system. It is the market's response to the failure of monogamy. It is a cold, transactional solution to a warm, emotional problem. It exists because the demand for variety and the need for a release from social pressure is a constant in the human condition. It is the shadow of the marriage bed. If we want to build better relationships, we have to start with honesty. Not the kind of honesty you find in a Hallmark movie, but the brutal, cynical honesty of ancient Rome. We have to acknowledge that we are all capable of betrayal. We have to acknowledge that our partners are not saints, but biological entities with their own hidden agendas. Only when we accept the potential for disaster can we actually work to prevent it. Trust is not the absence of risk. It is the decision to take the risk despite the odds. Monogamy is a beautiful lie that we tell ourselves so we can sleep at night. It is an economic union, a way to protect children, a way to build a stable life. But it is not a biological truth. The biological truth is that we are programmed for novelty, for risk, and for the hunt. Psychological experiments confirm again and again that novelty causes a massive release of dopamine. This is the hormone of anticipation that makes you feel alive. In a long-term marriage, dopamine is replaced by oxytocin, the hormone of attachment. It is warm, it is nice, but it is not a thrill. And when the level of oxytocin gets too high, the brain starts to miss the dopamine storms. And before you know it, you find yourself responding to that message from a coworker. The Romans did not know the word dopamine, but they knew the word orgy. Psychologically, it is the same thing. It is an attempt to hack the brain's reward system. Julia was not just a cheater, she was a dopamine addict in a world of harsh laws. Her infidelities were a way to feel free in a golden cage built by her father. And if you think your cheating or your partner's cheating is about sex, you are wrong. It is about power. It is about genes. It is about the desire to stop being a cog in the system for at least a moment and become a living being again. So what conclusion can we draw from all this Roman drama? Can cheating be defeated? Psychology says it is unlikely. We can only accept our nature and learn to negotiate with it. Monogamy is a daily choice, a struggle with one's own instincts. It is a decision every day to say no to the part of your brain that wants everything at once. Augustus tried to make this choice for everyone, and he failed. Julia succumbed to her instincts and was destroyed by the system. The history of Rome teaches us that morality is clothes we wear during the day, but at night, we all remain naked before our desires. Psychological experiments, the history of prostitution, the fates of emperors. All this leads to one thought. We are much more complex and darker than we want to seem. We are creatures created for betrayal, but dreaming of loyalty. Те, кто строит another celebrity or neighbor cheating, do not be in a hurry to throw a stone. Remember that you also carry this code in you. The code of Julia, the code of Augustus, the code of survival at any cost. Cheating is not the end of the world. It is the beginning of understanding who we really are. We are just people, little lost primates in a big and complex world, trying to find a balance between what we should do and what we actually want to do. Rome fell. The laws of Augustus are forgotten, but Julia still lives in each of us, reminding us that nature always takes its own, no matter how deep we bury it. That is all for now, my dear viewer. I hope your evening has become a little more cynical and interesting. And remember, when you go to bed, check if some Roman legionnaire with excellent genes is hiding under the bed. See you soon in new episodes where we will continue to dissect history and psychology without anesthesia.